back to the 2.0 Business 2.0 show featuring Jay Herb, of course. And today I have a very distinguished guest. This gentleman has been around the world. He's been mastering his craft for some time now. And I just want everybody to hear his story. It's very inspiring. This is a brother of mine that I've known for some time, and we just now reconnected. But, you know, we really want to hear his story. His story is fascinating. And like I said, he's just been a master of his craft for a long time. So I want to introduce to you guys D Knox, also known as Donnell Knox. Welcome to the show, brother.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, anytime, man, anytime. Like I said, I wanted to get you on because you've had a phenomenal career, and even though we hadn't kept in touch, I've kind of tracked you and did some research as far as, you know, your moves and some of the things you've done has been monumental in the world of house and so on and so forth. So what I want to get right into it, bro. Let's get into because I know when me and you originally connected in the late 80s, right? So that takes us back.
We were still in high school.
Yeah, we were still in high school, and you were DJing at the time, right?
Yeah.
You were doing a lot of hip hop and house. So tell me, how did your love when did you get on the tables? How did your love for just music in general develop? How did that come about?
Well, I gotta go way back, but I'll try to keep it, short.
Yeah.
Basically, man, my mom's, when I was a kid, she got me into piano lessons. Okay. She had me doing that 3 times a week. And I was kind of living between Battle Creek and Kalamazoo, staying at my grandmother's house and, our place in Kalamazoo. So she got me playing piano. And then later, once I got in junior high, she put me in band.
Okay.
Band class. And then I had to play percussion. So she got me drum lessons, snare drum lessons, actually. And that's kind of when the passion for music developed, because all the time as a kid, she was always playing Motown or Al Jarreau or Prince or, whoever in the car back then. And all the music she was playing it's still in my head today, because it was all the soulful, funky stuff. So that got me with the ear for it. But once I got 12, my older cousin, who's, unfortunately he passed on back in October, D Knox, he was DJing like just in his room, and he always collected music. He was making music with his friend Charles Rancifer, who was known by DJ Sir Charles in Kalamazoo. This guy used to take cassette decks, and that's how he would mix. He would have like 4 or 5 different tape decks, and Charles would record and make his mixes, his mixes that way. So DeJuan was good friends with him, and I grew up knowing, Charles. And like I said, when I was 12, because I saw them doing stuff, I actually found a pair of broken turntables in the trash. And I don't know how I did this, James, but I literally took it in the basement and somehow concocted and wired it and got them suckers to work. And I was trying to, I was scratching up the records back then, didn't really know what I was doing, just trying, because, seeing stuff on TV like the Fat Boys or whoever, you think you know how you're doing something. So that was at 12. And I still continued my journey doing band classes. And by then the piano lessons had stopped and drum lessons had stopped. It was just kind of scratching at home and, calling myself I don't know, DJ for what? Who was I DJing for? So from that point, man, it just once I got like a teenager, then I started hanging out with Damon Lamar, if you remember him, in high school. And we used to have these mix sessions at his crib in his basement back in the days, where we used to be mixing house music for hours on straight arm turntables. So we, still didn't even have 12s yet. Yeah. So that went on for some time, but it came a moment where I was working this job at Bronson Hospital, and it was after school, so it was like just 2 days a week, and I think it was for 3 hours, 2 days a week. And I saw this ad on a wall for 2 Technique 12 turntables and a mixer with everything in it, and I just took the ad, man, and just kept looking at it for like a day, and went straight to my mom's and literally begged her, "Mom, could you just please buy this for me? Like, please, and it was like $1,000 or something like that, something crazy.
It
And
wasn't nothing to sneeze at back then, especially.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course, she was like, no, 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 no. But I was persistent, man. I kept asking. Well, it turns out, man, because my mom was volunteering for the Black Arts, you know, Cultural Center downtown Kalamazoo.
Right.
And since she volunteered there, she mentioned one day, she said, oh, I see you like this kind of these turntables and stuff you got in the basement. So they need a DJ for one of their programs after school. And I said, well, Mom, I can't DJ with these turntables I had, but if I had those turntables I was asking you for, I
Yeah.
could do it. And she was like, okay, you know what? Let's go take a look at it. So fast forward to tape, man. It's a Saturday afternoon. I have to actually go to work this day at the hospital because they asked me to come in on the weekend. But before I go to work, we drive over to this dude's apartment in Concord. And he's living in the studio, from the ad. And it's snowing this day. It's like just crazy snowing. I don't know why. We get to this dude's spot, man. And I'm just slobbering looking at the turntables when he gets inside because he got them all set up behind like his kind of sofa bed. And the only thing I'm just thinking, like, I'm just hearing like Jazzy Jeff and all these visions of all these different DJs in my head, and I'm just looking at them turntables, man, slobbing them, and all of a sudden he starts talking to my mom. Well, this is an art form, like what your son will be doing is art. And if he was he was like really trying to sell to my mom.
Yeah.
And then I just saw her, she wasn't even looking at him, man. She was just like looking around his apartment. I was like, man, I'm not getting these things. She's not even paying attention to the dude. And all out of nowhere, man, she just said, okay, we'll take them. And then she turned to me. My mouth dropped like cartoon, like, is she serious? She gonna get them? Yeah. And she said, you're gonna pay me back every red cent. So you paying back all the money. And okay, we'll take it and let's go. So dude, we took the stuff. He helped me, get it in the car. The whole way, like driving home, I couldn't even look nowhere. I just had this stupid grin on my face. Like I can't, I'm pinching myself. Are these things in the back seat? Got them all the way home, put them in the basement. Yeah. I put them down. I didn't even open the cage change. I just sat there and she was like, you got to go to work. She was like, you better get to work because you need to pay me back. Like every penny. Yeah. And I asked her, so Mom, what made you do it? I'm just curious. She said, oh, because he kept his apartment clean. So I knew if his apartment was clean, then the stuff would be okay. And I was like, so you mean to tell me my whole, start of my career relied on if this dude's apartment was clean? Yeah, that was it. She wouldn't listen to nothing he said. Oh, okay, he's clean, so this stuff is clean. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I got my 12s. And from that point, man, I started doing high school parties. Not only never at Central, always at the Douglas Community Center, always with Damon. We always did those together. A couple of times I did some in Comstock, but that was by myself. Just it wasn't like playing, it was playing everything. Back then it wasn't just playing house music. I had to sneak the house music in. Right. And then people would be, what's that? And it's still, okay, play something else, sneak another house cut in. So I kind of did that through high school, but while I was in high school and when I was in elementary, which I didn't mention, is a lot of summers I spent in Detroit, half of them in Detroit, half in Chicago. So that's how I got to the techno and house gear because I was listening to The Wizard on the radio in Detroit, and I was recording a lot of tapes. And then when I would go to Chicago, I was recording the Hot Mix 6 guys.
Farley, was it Farley?
Yeah, Farley, Jackmaster Funk, Mike Hitman Wilson, Bad Boy Bill. Yeah. That whole crew just recording, just making tapes and, recording it and listening. And then some of my cousins that weren't really DJs, but they knew where the record stores were. They were taking me to record stores back then, but it wasn't really like buying it. I was just kind of around. But apparently I was around a lot of people that I just didn't know who they were at the time. But so that's how I got, like I said, the techno and house gear. And strangely enough, I don't know if you remember a guy named Baraka Clayton. You remember Baraka?
Sounds familiar, man.
He was younger than you. His brother name was Willie, but this dude lived on Sunnyside. Okay. And it's a strange thing because he was young. He was like 14, 15, fairly nice looking guy, but he was able to just get older women and use a car and do stuff. But this dude, he had a liking for Detroit techno. So turns out one of the dudes that I really like, his label, which was Transmat, Baraka somehow was going up to Detroit, buying this music and when we started linking up in Kalamazoo, he was like, "Oh, you got to hear this, you got to hear that." I was like, "Actually, I know that label. I know the music. How do you know about this? I didn't even think you would be into something like this."
Right.
He was like, "Well, I go to Detroit to the record stores all the time." And I'm like, "Dude, you're supposed to be in school. You're like 15. We mean you go to Detroit, you know?" So,
Yeah.
ironically, because he was doing that, turns out that I didn't know that my cousin Jay Denham was. I know he was always doing music and DJing with Funk Master back in the
Yeah.
day, you know, Tony Jackson.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that he was already out there in Detroit releasing records until like this one record I always heard and seen. At first, I didn't even know that was Jay's until later because it was like a major hit. So I'm gonna fast forward the tape a little bit just so we can, you know, move on. Basically, when I was done with high school, man, I went into service to the Marines a little bit just to get some money to fund the studio. Because actually, the dude that was taking us to the studio, he was a staff sergeant in the Marines. We call him Staff Sergeant Patrick, and he was taking Mike and us, and you know, also the Brown and Brown, like how we were going.
Yeah.
And we were recording with him, but he told me, man, just go in. You can get out when you need to get out. You can get some money for your studio, and you know, I can tell you everything you need to do. Why, you know, for your 3 years that you'll be in the reserves. So I went and did that, and I came home. And when I came home, I happened to run into my cousin Jay in New Horizon because I was visiting somebody over there, and he happened to be living at the time a little bit down from the person I was visiting. And he was like, "D," I was like, "Jay." So I said, "I thought you know, you was in Detroit," and you know, he's like, "No, I'm living here now." So he's like, you know, "Come on in." I came in the basement, and Jay was notorious for just wherever he would be at, he would just set up a little studio wherever. And he basically makes music, like he'll be making beats right in front of you, like he's putting on a concert for you. But he was never recording that stuff.
Yeah.
He'd be sitting up there for like 30 minutes, like, man, he just made some amazing music that blew my mind. And he wasn't recording nothing, you know. So because I ran into him and I already had a love for techno and house. And we decided, you know, I started hanging out with him more. And then of course, I just changed my mind, started getting into techno more. But it wasn't until I actually went back up to Detroit with him because somebody owed him money and we were trying to track this dude down to get money, that I happened to go to the studio of the guy that me and Baraka was talking about a long time ago, Derek May. And when I went to this dude's loft and I saw how he had his equipment all sprawled around the floor, that was the moment I said, okay, I'm not doing rap no more. I'm just doing house and techno. Like, this is just me, what I want to do. I've always been into it.
Yeah.
But I think if I would do rap, I'll just make beats for people that, you know, still want some beats. And I'll just kind of leave it alone. Because as you know, if you remember Mike Strachan guys.
I do, Doc Chill.
Yeah, Doc Chill. We actually had a chance. We had the same label Too Short was on. Somebody wanted to sign us to do a hip hop album. So we were going to try to be like Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, but you know, Mike's style would not be, you know, like Fresh Prince. But in that moment, I just said, okay, Mike, I'm doing this, man. So, but I can still make music, but it's just this. I just fell in love with it, man, because it was like there's no sampling. It's just you making the music, and it's whatever's coming out of your spirit and soul. And then I also realized if I do house and techno, that's going to take me around the world faster.
Yes, and let me intervene right there because I'm glad that's a great kind of stopping point because I wanted to touch on the Brown and Brown days, right? I wanted to touch on how we actually connected, and you know, as a group, we were going in together and banging out stuff. And to me, that was a great time, man. It was a time of discovery. You know, we were. I felt at that time, and I still tell Mike this. I said, like, at that time for me, he was like the best MC in the city, and for us, to, you know, I really felt like
him and King Crush.
Right. Right. And so, and I told him that. I said, man, there's a lot of things, you know, that I, you know, picked up from what you were doing, and he tells me the same. So, but it was a great time. Everybody was growing. You know, we were some of the first people. I think we were the first hip hop artists to go into Brown and Brown, as a matter of fact. Because I mean, I remember Kevin saying that, right?
Old Kevin, boy.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace, man.
I know, man. You know what? I was thinking it was crazy too because I remember finding out that he was rated the best sound in the nation.
Yeah.
studio in Kalamazoo. I was like, there's another thing Kalamazoo's good for, being the best sound in the nation. And he said something one day, man, it clicked in my mind too about music. I forget the sentence what he said, but he was saying something, and it just made me really get deep in the music and look at it in a more spiritual way.
Yeah.
How to influence people spiritually, and make people listen to music and leave with emotion.
Yeah.
But just something from what he said, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was him that did it.
He would say, like you said, he would say things. And I mean, we were really kids when CJ and I were going in there, and you guys, I mean, I want to say we went in in '89. I think that was like that the first year we went in there, and we were just blown away by the sound, and that kind of forced us to release music, and the blue tape, the breakout tape, and all that other stuff we were doing. It's on, and like I said, it was just times where I always, when I reflect back to that time, I always go back to you. I always go back to Doc. You know what I'm saying?
Mike, man. Me and him still friends to the day.
Yeah,
we were like best friends. Mike was just like, I loved Mike so much, man. I was like, this dude is just brilliant. Stuff he writes up, comes up with. Mike was just he's just an all around great person.
He is.
Well, too.
Yeah, shout out to Mike, man. I still keep in touch with him myself, and we reconnected. It's just and CJ was there as well. I just want to shout out CJ.
Oh yeah, CJ Mason.
Yeah. It's just a beautiful time. So that was kind of the aha moment for you, as far as like not doing hip hop, and then because I know we lost touch, and now next thing I knew you were doing hip hop techno. And obviously that was successful for you. So, and I didn't know Jay Denham was your cousin. Obviously, Jay Denham is a giant as well in that field. And everybody knows him. So I want to talk about now. So what was what you were going overseas? Now let's talk about you when you were doing. Well, no, let's back up, because you got signed to a label, right, to do the techno thing. Or were you on the label?
No, actually, that's the thing I was supposed to, but dude ended up. He convinced me that he said that you should start your own label. And he said, I'm starting a distribution company, and I'll distribute your music. So it happened to be a guy in Cleveland that we basically, Jay, Funk Master, Brett Dancer, you probably know his brother Tyler Dancer.
I do.
And Quincy Davis, if you remember, he was dancing for us then. We got invited to come down to Cleveland to do a live performance at this place called the Smart Bar. And that was, I had to be 91, 92, something like that. And we went down, and the night before we were supposed to perform, Jay calls me up and say, hey man, you're gonna have to do your own show. I was like, what? We were all like performing together. Like, I got to come up with something last minute. He said, unfortunately, we have to split it up like that, because he was DJing that night, doing a live thing, and then he wanted me to do my own live thing separately, which turned out in my favor, because it forced me basically overnight, staying up all night, just, okay, let's just throw some stuff together and see what we can do, and just wish for the best, We go down to Cleveland, we do our thing, he does his show, and then right after I go on, I do mine. But at least Funk Master, Tony Jackson, he was working the drums for me. And Brett Dancer was MCing and dancing. I know MCing, basically dancing, and Quincy was dancing for me. So it made it look nice. I only had to worry about the melodic parts. Man, somehow, I don't know, the Incredible Hulk just came out of me. I just blew it up. Because this one dude rushed the stage, and his name is Dan Curtin. And I owe him a lot, because he helped me a lot to really get started into this, underground scene and the right things. He just rushed the stage. He said, are you with these guys? I was like, yeah, it's my cousin. We're all together, but I'm doing my own thing too. So he took my number, and then me and this dude started talking. And it turns out, like, I had a record of this guy's, and I didn't know it was his. And I really liked this record. I thought it was like three black dudes from Detroit, not this white guy from Cleveland, Ohio, making this funky techno record that was just like amazing, So fast forward to tape, me and Dan, we keep in touch. We start talking on the phone all the time. He has a label called Metamorphic. And in between that time, he was getting me some like house gigs around like Ohio, Pittsburgh, and places like that, just here and there.
Right.
just because he was just, a nice guy. And I was supposed to be an artist on his label. And also in the meantime, there was a few magazines in Europe, especially in Brussels. There was this one magazine called Surreal Sound. And this guy named Yost, what he would do, like totally unknowns, like people that you never heard of, he would take their music and put it on a cassette tape and put it on his magazine so people could discover you. So Dan sent that guy one of my tracks, and then that guy liked it so much, so he put it on his tape on the magazine, and that helped me like start to get early exposure in at least Belgium area and France. And Dan, so Dan, he basically, I was supposed to be on his label. He told me, nah, dude, I think you should start your own label. I'll distribute it because I'm starting a distribution company down here in a month. And I'll give you all the tools you need, like the people you need to contact. So he gave me the number to 2 places in Detroit where to get the records pressed, from wax, and where to get the record mastered. And the dude that was getting the record mastered from, he used to do some mastering for Motown in them back in the days.
Okay.
Doing all the Detroit guys. His name was Ron Murphy. Rest in peace, Ron. He's gone now, but very nice guy. You basically drive down there, take your music. He would cut the record right there on the metal stamper for you. Spend that day with you, tell you how you could get better or whatever. Oh, it was just good times back then.
Right.
So that's how I got started. And that point, where I started my own label, and it was crappy in the beginning, man. Like I didn't have any really money. I think what I did, I found like some temp work, and did that for I think a month straight, just hardcore work. Saved up enough money to press up 200 copies. And I remember going to Big Lots over there on Kilgore and buying like 200 like plastic bags that you could put the record in, because I couldn't even afford the sleeves. Went to Kinko's up in Ann Arbor. Because I don't know if you remember Fanon Flowers. He was actually
my man.
Okay. Yeah. So Fanon was actually on the first release with me on my first release. A track of his and a track of mine. Because I asked him, I was like, I'd be honored to have you, on the release. And Fanon like said, okay, let's go to Kinko's. So we put this artwork together, which was just crappy, but it was better, good. Yeah. And that was the first record, man. Like I called.
What was the name of that record? What was the name of that record?
It was called the Man Trail EP.
Okay.
By Fanon and I. So my track was on one side, his was on the other. That was like the first thing I ever did. I had no idea how it was gonna go. Yeah. It was only 200 copies, but within a week, Dan called me and said, dude, I'm gonna need like 1,700 more. Wow. He was like, it blew up overseas, in England especially. They want more records. And I remember calling the pressing plant in Detroit, telling the dude, I need 1,700 more. And he was like, oh, well, I'm gonna be busy for 3 weeks because I got pressing to do. And he just hung up the phone, because the guy was he was an a-hole archer, but everybody was using him. It was OSHA hazard in his facility, but it was the cheapest place and the fastest place you can get your stuff done. Yeah. So I had to deal with it. So I lost out because Dan was like, well, I'm sorry, but 3 weeks, now, you're going to lose these people and those people. So you're only going to be able to probably press up 1,000. Yeah. So I did that, press up 1,000. He distributed some more. And then I ended up going to Record Time in Detroit. And they had a distribution thing right in the record store in the back. And they said, we want to take like 700.
Oh, okay.
So they took 700. And my man, rest in peace, Mike Huckabee, he was like the dance room guy. He was, he was in charge of that basically. Okay. So that helped me in the beginning. And that was the start of me. And then I didn't even from the money I made from the first one, I just took it and put it back in the second one.
Right. Smart.
Keep it going. And that was my start to Europe, because from there, then I had people writing me, like magazines, contacting me, record stores. People wanted to book me to come and DJ. And at that point, I hadn't really mastered the craft of being a techno DJ or a house DJ, because I was always mixing it up, playing other stuff. Yeah. So I had to learn really quick how you blend techno all night in a musical way that tells a story. It's like not just people think it's easy, you just playing records, but it's like just because they're the same beat, how do you match up the sounds melodically the whole 2 hours? Right. It's not easy to do and play stuff in key, especially when you're on a loud speaker system and everything might not be working properly. Needles might be messed up, or the sound system is messed. So
Yeah,
yeah, so that was the start, man. That was around 18, 19. You
that's
know,
awesome. Yeah. So you know that, and that you're learning on the job. You're learning, and
yeah.
the fact that you're around cats like Jay Denham and
Hmm.
other cats that you mentioned along the way. I think we all needed like a lifeline to take us to the next level. I mean, I have stories of people that helped me, you know, take my music to the next level as well. And you never forget those people. But also, it also, like you said, this is what kind of brought your move about. Like eventually brought the Poland situation about, and it's a good place for me to segue because a lot of people, bro, I've been saying this since probably the '90s. They
I'm gonna turn the light
appreciate
on, man.
that. Oh, okay. They appreciate, and I find that overseas, and this is just my observation, they appreciate black music a lot more. A lot of times, at least what the type of hip hop that I do, and like you said, when you were doing techno and house, there's a hunger for it in Europe, in East, in Asia, all these places. There's a hunger for black music, and you know, at that time, I knew this. I had a band that traveled overseas, went to Japan, and got so much love, and that opened
Yeah.
up my eyes. You know, and saying like, wow, there's a
Yep.
market for what we're doing over there.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
Japan is real, and
Yeah,
the kids are very they behave, man. I remember being there a few times,
yeah,
and I saw beer in the vending machines, and even at the party, like they weren't taking drugs. They were just coming to dance and have a good time.
yeah,
And I knew okay, I could really mix it up. I was
yeah,
playing Prince in the middle of my sets, and they were like,
yeah,
"Ooh," just appreciative. So
yeah, yeah.
I just couldn't take the all that stuff that you see. It was Tokyo was very overwhelming because you see a lot of that, stuff that you see from cartoons and video games, lights at 5 o'clock in the morning, lots of people on the street. The
Yeah.
hotel I was staying in, it was basically in the middle of a shopping mall. So when I would come out of the room and go out of the hotel, I'd be like in the mall. And it'd be like 5 in the morning and like people were,
Oh,
I
wow.
was like, this is crazy, man.
Japan is known to have that kind of scene, man. That's just, it's
Yeah.
crazy. So let's talk about what prompted your move. Like eventually, too, you said about '05 is when you made the
Hmm.
move for good, right?
Yeah.
To, what are some differences that you've seen in the musically in the music scene from what Poland is doing as compared to back in the States?
Well, okay. What prompted me to move first was I got tired of flying back and forth for these gigs.
Mhm.
As you know, I was a person who always kept a job in Kalamazoo no matter what.
Yeah,
Because I was like, I don't, this is music. It's fickle.
right,
It can stop. So let me keep something on call.
right.
So I basically got with my friend Charlie, who has a company called Medical Resource Management. And
Mm.
he always just kept me on call. So whenever I'd be home, it was kind of like favor for favor. If he needed me, he lost some people, I would go help him.
Right.
It was home health aid work. So I would go help him do that.
Mm.
But if he didn't need me, I really wouldn't go. So the point was, if I would have been living in Chicago or Atlanta or Detroit, I might have just stayed because it's just one airport there. But you know, if you got a gig every weekend in Europe and you live in Kalamazoo, you got to get to that Kalamazoo airport every week. Going through the customs, all
Yeah,
that little traveling back and forth, flying in the air. I knew it is going to do something to the body
yeah.
at some point, and it can't be healthy. So after 8 years of doing that, bro, in Kalamazoo, because it was about 8 years,
Phew.
starting from the early '90s, going back and forth for
Yeah,
gigs. Like just here and there, not like every weekend, because a lot of times I cancel. So I
yeah,
just don't feel like going, man. I just came back from Switzerland last weekend. Imagine, okay, I was in Switzerland last Friday, and then the Saturday night flew over to Paris, and then Sunday flight back to Kalamazoo, and then turn around Thursday, and you have to get ready because Friday you flying to Italy Friday, and the Saturday night you know you're somewhere in North England, and then back to Kalamazoo. So that was just getting. I was trying to study at KVCC at the
yeah,
same time and do all that. It was just crazy. So once I got over here in Poland, um, it just thrilled me because they were actually, I felt like they were behind us like about 10 years because I got booked for this party over here. Not well, it was in Warsaw, but the first night was supposed to be in this town called Białystok. which is
Okay.
kind of really closer to Lithuania, like, going outside of Poland.
Mhm.
And when I got booked to play there, when I showed up to the gig, man, it was like a line around the corner just for me. And I said, this is how it used to be back in the States, back, before the first Bush was president, when
Yeah.
the raves were just, you could just freely do them and have them in cornfields or whatever.
Yeah.
So I felt like, oh, okay, so it's kind of like a naked woman. I can just come in here and start imprinting my own stuff, because they got a lot of little villages and a lot of little towns in Poland where they don't really, at the time, they only know whoever that local DJ was, and he didn't always have the best music. So I said, as long as I come in with my hits and just rock the party, they're gonna keep booking me. And that's what happened. Like when I decided to finally just stay and put in Poland, it was a period for like 2 years where I only DJ'd in Poland, even though I had offers in other countries and even back in the States. I just, oh, so why am I go back to California when the dude an hour away is booking me for the same price? I just jump on the train or rent a car and go over there.
There you
I
go.
don't feel like getting on the plane, and which kind of hurt me too, because some people probably like, oh look, he don't book him because he ain't coming. He
Yeah.
won't come. He's not gonna come to Hawaii, or he's not gonna come to South America.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got over here. I saw the clubs where people are just hungry for this. I could just see the hunger again, like the thrill to getting into it, to really partying. You can go to probably be the only black person in the sea of white people, man, and not even have any fears or worries, like, because the security guards, they're always like, I don't know, like Polish dudes, they're big guys, and you got a lot of Russians and other people over here that have stuff to do with the clubs, and usually if it's a club and it's a Russian or somebody's kind of mafia involved, so they're not gonna let nobody mess with you.
Right.
Once you come in, you play for them for the the price they ask you to play, and you're nice with them, then you're kind of safe. But they make good parties, and I mean, I got a lot of fans that way, and so I ended up just staying. And then after 2 years, I just kind of, okay, I can't be doing that many gigs, because I was doing 8 parties a month or something like this,
Right.
ridiculous. So I just kind of slowed down, because I said I don't really need the money. I was able to save a lot, put it away. And if I need to do something over here, I can always like teach English on the side as a native speaker, because they always need them, that people like us over here to work with kids or whoever. Even I can teach them music or
Beautiful.
something.
Yo,
And they
that's a
pay good.
beautiful life. That's a beautiful life, bro. I didn't mean to cut you off. That's a beautiful life. Because like you said, you don't have the worries. I think a lot of worries come with artists, man, in the States. The fans are so fickle a lot of times over here. And because the sound, especially in hip hop, the sound is changing so much. It's over here, and then it's over there, and it's over there. And over like you said with techno and house, because you had a 10-year start pretty much, like you know what I mean? You're ahead of the time. You came with your American skills over there, and it just blew their minds, right? So I mean, that's a beautiful situation. It's almost like you have a inherited unfertile fertile land that hasn't been touched. So all you had to do is plant the seeds.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that I think I probably am the only American that's played the most techno parties in Poland.
Wow.
Because of how many parties I actually played over the years.
Wow.
I know that because like there was a couple guys that did settle in Poland, but they became later that they came. Like I was kind of like one of the first ones to kind of settle over here.
Yeah.
It's also because of the prices, bro. Like other places that I considered living was London, Paris, Munich, Germany, Tokyo, because I had offers in these places. Like people were like, we can set you up and you can stay here. But when I got to Poland, I realized Poland is a lot cheaper than other places.
Yeah.
They're still developing. And America now, I see that America's really investing in this place, because that's when America started investing in when I was coming.
Yeah.
So as you can see over the years, I started seeing more American. I'm not gonna say it was good, because it really started getting more Americanized.
Yeah.
I started seeing more American people come in. You start seeing more, shopping malls like you do it on the one in Grand Rapids on 44th Street.
Yeah.
Just in my city alone, you got like 10 malls like that size in Warsaw, like all spread around. But then you got a bunch of little other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, that got me to stay because the first time I went to the grocery store, I think I literally spent something like $12, dude, and I had like 8 bags of groceries, and that
Really,
lasted me like almost a month. And then the
ridiculous.
apartment was dirt cheap,
Yeah.
and I mean the people, then I realized too, like okay, in Kalamazoo, we actually grew up around a lot of Polish people. We just didn't know it, and a lot of the food that we actually eat that we think might be soul food or something is
Yeah.
actually a Polish meal. Like something that we ate growing up was like I ate it here, and they were like, "We're gonna prepare something special for you."
Yeah.
I'm like, I used to eat that when I was a kid. I didn't know that was Polish.
Yeah.
So they season the food well. So I wasn't. Only things I was missing some stuff like at first Frank's Red Hot sauce and
Yeah.
some of the stuff I shouldn't be eating.
Yeah.
Like
So
Twinkies.
true. Yeah.
I noticed over years, all of a sudden now everything is here. Like I can go to the little local mom and pop shop. There's Frank's Red Hot up in there. For example, or Twinkies over here, or Cocoa Palmer's cocoa butter. Because at first I was having to bring every time I would go home, I had to bring that stuff back with me.
Yeah.
But slowly, I think as more people like me started coming,
Yeah.
they started asking for the same thing, and now all of a sudden it's like,
That's incredible.
honestly, James, let me tell you the truth. Between me and you, last time I came home to Kalamazoo, it seems like the worlds are just because I was like, look, roundabouts, that's been in Europe forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the way they building apartments, they look like apartments over here, them kind of like flats that they call over here. They look like the ones downtown Kalamazoo or up on campus. And just things like even Polish things like food or like stuff I was buying in the stores over here, I was seeing it in Myers or Walmart. So I said, okay, I don't even feel like I'm changing.
No.
I just know that I'm going to Kalamazoo, or I know I'm in Warsaw, but not too much has changed. I still have all my TV, all the TV I want to watch, like you, CBS Live or whatever. I'm not missing nothing. I can watch it in real time.
That's love.
Netflix, of course. If I want to watch other stuff, I just put the VPN on. But I have I really have a channel that's totally live TV, and probably if we put it on right now, we could be watching the same thing. So that's the only part where it's kind of like,
that's love.
okay, it's losing some of the its European charm because I just all around me is Americans living. More of us coming, more of us African Americans are here as well. But on the flip side, okay, I can go play basketball at the park at night with a bunch of us, or just going doing stuff like I used to do back in Kalamazoo. But it's just that being here, everything is close. Berlin,
that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
other countries.
Yeah.
So
and it's like you said, when you came, it wasn't popular for people like us, I'll say, to move over there, live there, and build roots and whatnot. But now, within the last 10, 15 years, I know so many brothers that they're in Russia, they're in Poland, they're in Bali, they're going to they're going to Asia, and so now it's become trendy. People are traveling more. I think that's a phenomenon that's happened probably in the last 10, 15 years, I'd say. But again, because like you said, everywhere is being Americanized now. But back then, when you got there, it was new ground. It was fertile, and it was.
Dude, it was new. And the thing of it is too. It's not like I'm walking around with a posse. I'm going in sometimes some territories or some places where it's just me, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna get me. They're gonna get me. But I can't be afraid for that. I'm from Kalamazoo. Like how it is. How we grew up, how it was back then, people carrying guns. The only thing I thought was, okay, they're not carrying guns here. Only the mob guys or the gangster or people, that own the clubs or whatever. And just the average guy on the street, they're not really carrying a gun. So at least, if we got knuckle up, then I have to knuckle up. But most time when I had some situations, people just back down because this dude's not afraid, and they don't really know you're American. You don't know your level of craziness, or just maybe I was just blessed and lucky, and God was just looking out and just got me out of the situation pretty quick. But I can say that part of Europe, it wasn't popular back then, and yes, there was some times where I can't see somebody that's fearful. will come to this part of the world, because you got to remember, this is Eastern Europe.
Right.
It's not even Western Europe. Like if you went to Paris or Belgium or West Germany, it looks different, even at that time. As I said, over here, these people are built and they're solid and they're big. And Polish guys, big farm bred dudes. They're just big people. But genuinely, Warsaw being a big city like Chicago or something, the people are not really, they just focus on their thing. So
that's pretty cool, man. So with the records, like you've had obviously you had some big records. What would you say is the biggest record that you had in your career? And like I said, you guys were churning out records like crazy. I see a Jay Denham record and I see one of your records, and like you said, Phenom was going at it. And just a lot of cats. One master was Funk Master, one master. He was still making music for a while there. And so what would you say as far as there was a whole collective of you guys that was just in the house and techno. You kind of took that, ran with it, and we, it was kind of like we all know each other, and it's all a fraternity and circle. But so coming back to you, what would you say is your biggest record in your career?
You know what? It's because I don't have just one. There were definitely the one I did on Jay's label, Black Nation. Back then, I think that came out in '96. That was a huge record. A lot of people, still to the day, people hit me up about it, post up the videos. And then there was one I did on this label called Ellipsia.
Okay.
That was a big record as well. And then on my label, I think it was the third one that I did on my label, Sonic Mind.
Okay.
That one was pretty big too.
Okay.
I had a lot of those records, basically, put me on to a lot of places and got me into places I wouldn't have been able to enter before from that time. But you are right. There was a group of us. Like I said, when Jay came back, I called it the meeting because we all had this meeting down at I kind of call him my Uncle Pip. It was down on Rose Street in the Red House. You probably seen Joey Casey going over. Joey's my cousin too. So
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, Myron It was actually at Myron Fitzpatrick's house, if you know Myron. So we had this infamous meeting there where it was Jay. He called the meeting. Funk Master, Banana Flowers, Brent Dancer, Tony Ollie.
Wow, that's
Chance McDermott. Myself. I think Quincy was there too at the time. I don't know why, because Quincy wasn't really making music. He just kind of DJing. Quincy Davis from high school, if you remember him. Damon wasn't there. Damon Lamar was already in Chicago then. But Damon Lamar was already making music for Chicago labels under the name Baby Pop. So he was already doing his thing. But he had Jay called this meeting back then, and I remember it to the day because the talk was, some of us not going to make it. Some of us going to go further than the others. Some of us just going to be here to help. But, let's all do this thing together and be brothers with this thing, And that was the start of it, how we all kind of had our thing. So, we had this thing where we all had equipment and gear, but we would share. So, for example, my drum machine might be at Fernand's apartment for a month. He might be using it. Or then Chance might come take it, and he'll have it for 2 weeks. And then next thing you know, I go looking for it. It might be a little Rich Lee's house, Rich McMillan, because he was also involved in this too. He did a nice record in Detroit, which was kind of big. And sometimes I used to learn from him some little stuff. But as I'm saying, we were all sharing gear, sometimes unknowingly, because I might even forget that, okay, I left my keyboard at Jay's house, but now I went to Fernand's and there it is. Okay, let me take my keyboard back. So we're all kind of using the same stuff. And recording to tapes on reel-to-reels. And then back then, a lot of us didn't even, it wasn't like we took a reel-to-reel tape and said, okay, this is going to be the album or the record all on this tape. Back then, it was a lot of, smoke. You just set up Friday, Saturday, whatever, make as much tracks as you can make. And you only had one tape on that reel tape. So it was like you had to set your gear up and, kind of look at your watch and say, okay, a techno song shouldn't go over 5 minutes. And you just hit play, and whatever I do, whether it's a mistake or not, that's what's getting recorded. Because those Ampex tapes back then, you couldn't record back on top of it, or otherwise you would hear the track underneath. And I made that mistake. I did that a few times. I can even hear it on the records I released, even on YouTube. I tell my friends, look, you hear that little hip hop beat underneath? Yeah, I didn't know. He said, I didn't know what that was. Yeah, that's because I recorded on top of it. But those tapes were $12, and the dude for me was like the weed man. Like you might need the tapes for the weekend. He's, oh, I don't have any tapes. They're like, no, I need to record. So it was just like a way of life, man. It was like a lifestyle. It's like you always had gear in your house or wherever you live, and you just made music. It wasn't about trying to be famous. It wasn't about trying to make money. It just was we were just having fun making music.
For the love of it.
That's about as far as I could think. Like most things, get the record out. Get the record out. I had no idea that doing that stuff was gonna bring me over here or do any of that, because like I said, it was just about the passion and the love for I got me some equipment, I'm coming home, I got my smoke, and boom, I'm gonna sit up here and just make as much stuff as I make, and at time it came out good. So the way I look at it is the energy it was using each one of us to create the sound that it wanted. So okay, the same energy was within us in that group. But for example, okay, Donnell, I'm gonna make you sound like this. Jay, you're gonna sound like that. Chance, you're gonna sound like that. Brett, you're gonna sound like this. But it's still the same energy. That's how I was looking at it. Whatever I was tapping into back then, it just came in, boom, I got a track. And sometimes, bro, I would do it, and then I'd be on my way going to the club, like Cheek to Cheek or Stingers or Top of the Rock or one of them. So it'd be kind of like while I'm getting dressed, I would just hit start on the sequencer and make a track in between. Okay, that's 5 minutes, it's done, and then I'm going to the club and forgetting about it. Like stuff like this, like.
So with your collective, did you guys ever? I know it had to be like a healthy sense of rivalry or competition. How did you guys have a competition rivalry like that?
All the time, man. Sometimes, fights, not physically fights, but it damn near got to that way. Sometimes you felt like you wanted to, punch somebody, but it's just like, no, you can't do that.
Right.
But no, it was healthy competition all the time, and sometimes a little bit of, maybe some sneakiness going on or some. And that's what kind of prompted me to, have my own label too, because then I was like, I don't want to be, dependent on nobody. I want to just control it myself. So if I have my own label, I can just do my own thing. And I think that if we didn't have those kind of things where we didn't work together cohesively, then we could have went a lot further, because there was a 2-year period where Kalamazoo, Michigan had the world for techno. It was like from 96 to I think 98 or up to 99, where the world was just talking, the focus was on us. Like it was like the Kalamazoo guys, they just make everything they're making is just hot. And we were just like dominating. And then after that, the Swedes came in and they totally changed the sound. It was like, okay, I don't know what mastering tricks they're doing, but I can't even play my record against theirs because the levels are so, just different. So it was like that. Unfortunately, you had your moments where you were more cool with this person for time being, and then you got back to the person that you weren't that cool with, and but always at the end of the day, we end up still making music together and doing stuff,
So let me, and that's real cool, man, because again, I know all of these cats and all these brothers that you're talking about, and I know, some I know better than others. Obviously, I went to school with Chance and Fanon and those, guys, and I know Jay Denham, and like you said, it's a small world. It's crazy because with Kalamazoo, there was a collective of you guys who went that direction, and then obviously there was a lot of other cats that were in between, and cats further along over on the other side like myself that was doing hip hop and all that type of stuff. So it was just crazy, the musical minds and the geniuses that in that small town is like 100,000 people that people don't really know. So it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous of the talent and the artists that came out of there. Ridiculous. I mean,
I know, right? Like a lot of people just don't have the business. I used to just tell a lot of people, man, you just need to leave. Like, I mean, come to Kalamazoo, make your stuff, because Kalamazoo obviously have a good energy for creating. I would say like all the songs I made in my mom's basement up there in Woodrow, they were all hits. Like those ones that were made there in that area, for some reason, they all did really well.
Something
I'm
special
not
about that city.
something special with the
Creative,
energy and
creative.
I mean, so like you said, so many artists there, rappers or whoever, guys that you knew, you know, could be. I mean, look at that, like Corva Studio. Remember Corva
Oh
Studio?
my God,
Where Tyrone Hollins and
Tyrone Highlands and
over there.
Madhouse inmates. Yeah,
Robert Ryan's talent shows,
yeah,
Benito Whitley,
yeah,
Big Bear, Larry Benjamin, you know what I mean? It's like Bobby Lassiter, all of them was
yeah,
cooked up doing their own thing. Then there was Teddy. Because you remember Teddy and Doc Chill was rapping together.
yeah,
And
yeah. That's right.
King
Yeah,
Crush, that's when King Crush came into the picture.
yeah.
And Crush used to rap whole fucking songs.
I
I
know.
mean, I remember him just coming up out of nowhere, Mr. Suntan Man. Like, I was like, you freestyled that whole song for 5 minutes? What?
Yeah,
It's just like you said, man. And other music though, not just stuff that we were into, but we also have to think about other art that was
oh well,
involved
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Not to punk guys. I mean, I remember even having a studio one time where there was nothing but these rock guys where they had their studios, and I remember them coming in and giving me tips, like on the mixing board and
Yeah,
things like that. And when I lived down in the 666 building on Ransom and North there,
yeah.
we were all living in that building for a while too. Jay and all of us, we had lofts up in there.
Wow.
I mean, we were traveling a lot to Europe while we were living there, but it was just like music all the time. You couldn't sleep. That's like, you wasn't getting no sleep in there. You just had your room, your bedroom, but somebody was always banging and making music.
What about also E House? Were you guys connected with E House at all?
I was more connected with Eric in high school. Like Eric was a huge influence, him and Marty Greer, because when Eric was still living in New Horizon and he was doing his stuff in high school, he was, one of the ones wanting me to get into DJing. Because E House, the whole thing. But Eric wasn't making music with us. Everybody just respected Eric because of his DJing skills and what he could do, and he was one of the early ones as well. So that's how I was connected with Eric. But I still keep in touch with him now on Facebook and everything.
You're like, I don't know if you realize it, but like we talk about the old days and it's we were actually pioneering back then. We were actually pioneering a scene, and a sound. I mean, whether we knew it or not, So
we was just having fun, man. We was kids having.
That's it.
No one told us to do that.
No.
If you know what I mean. No one said, okay, go to the studio.
No.
Go do this. Nobody. No one was there with a vision.
No.
It was just like we just got together and started doing it. It's like we just knew we had to do something, but it was working.
Yeah, it was working. It was working. It's just, looking back at it now, man, where did those 30 years go? Where did they go? I have no idea.
I can't remember half of the thing. It's like you said, it just because I happened, thanks to social media, to see YouTube or something. I'm like, okay, this is Jay.
Yeah.
Like, dang, I remember, when we was Brown and Brown and, back in high school and, the whole East Side. Yeah. Then I started going further thinking, oh, remember that dude, Tim, that had the moped, had the speaker on his moped, like in his on that bag, that duffel bag he had the speaker in it. I was like, just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. And then I get back to, oh yeah, that dude was rapping.
Yeah.
That was the R&B group. Or then it was Nardo, Michael Walden's cousin, Jason Martin. I don't know if you remember him, but like he was in Kalamazoo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, man, so much talent there.
So much talent, man. It's just, and it's funny you brought up. It was cats you were bringing up here that I've already that I've talked to and just interviewed. And Rich Lee, I had him on last week.
Oh, Rich Lee, yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I was just like, man, all these memories that just kind of flood back. But like you told, he talked about that record. He talked about signing in his what he got his royalty. By the time everybody took their share out of it, his royalty was just enough to get back home on the bus. So we talk a lot about business on this segment, right? Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk to you. You were one of the ones who was smart enough and kind of on top of the ball enough to start your own label right early. So let's talk about that for a minute, because the benefits of having your own publishing and owning all that type stuff is enormous. I can't stress it enough. And so nobody taught us that. It kind of, it was kind of like you learn on your own. And I want to know who taught you the business.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Publishing, I learned later, and that was just because I was talking to more English guys, in England, because I always knew about it, when I first started, but I didn't really understand it, BMI and ASCAP and all that, because Jay always had it, but he never really explained it to me, and he never really explained, like I said, the business part of it. It just sort of here and there I picked up talking to different people, like, okay, when I had my label, I had to think about accounting, everything for myself, start getting the first business ID downtown Kalamazoo, at the county, at the clerk office, and how am I going to pay taxes from that? And later, getting in, really discussing publishing and how it works. Yeah, that was a few English dudes that put me on that, man. Nobody in the States. They're like, you really need, they literally said you should stop releasing anything right now till you got your publishing going.
Right.
You really just should, because he said you have to think about this. Whoever is distributing your record or pressing it somewhere, they're probably going to get your publishing somehow. You don't even know that. And I said, okay. So I lost some in the beginning, of course. Just like you said, I didn't know much about business. But with this techno business, it's not too much involved. It just gets more involved when you start having a bunch of artists on your label. Because if you have your own label, back then it was more of me releasing myself, because it was a way for me to get my stuff out, and even under different names. But the problem comes in when you got, okay, like let's say I put Jay on, but then who's going to get the publishing for, let's say we do a split EP, and he's doing 2 tracks and I do tracks, but it's on my label. Right. So who gets the publishing, for that release? Or, okay, if I get the publishing, should he get a percentage from me? Or do we make an agreement of, okay, look, man, I'll keep the publishing, but I'll do a record for you, and then you keep the publishing for that. Right. A lot of deals were done like that, so it won't get too confusing, But now as it stands, it works as, under D Knox, I let people know up front, okay, if I'm released on your label, I'm getting my publishing and whatever the percentage is from the release. If we decide 50% of everything, but I keep all my publishing from it, So, no one taught me, bro.
Everybody I know, it's a similar story. They really learned the hard way. We missed out on a lot of publishing royalties because of this, that, and the third. But like I said, it's just smart to have your own setup, your own label, and you were, again, keen enough to know, hey, I'm not going with this record, a shady record label over here. Why sign with this label over there? And when I can go ahead and be self-sufficient. And that's one of the things I'm proud of us, because all of us as a collective, because we all, sensed at that time, we need to have ownership. And ownership is really important, And so I like bringing brothers on here who recognize the importance of ownership, because we're also, it's not only us, but there's a younger generation, another generation that's coming up under us that's watching this show, listening to whatever interviews you have or podcasts, and catching snippets and learning it earlier, man. Because again, Corva didn't tell us anything. Corva, we brought up Corva, man. He didn't tell us anything, right?
So he probably knew about publishing for sure.
I'm sure he did. The records we did under him, we didn't know. No. We didn't no publishing. We didn't, he had them overseas and everything. Right? And so that's all.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So, everybody got jerked back there, right? Everybody got jerked, man.
Yeah, you gotta have your jerk story. He got me. He got me.
So what do you nowadays, man? Fast forward, and what are you working on now? What artists are you working with? And also, I want to get some links from you so we can put that up here as well. So, what are you working on nowadays?
Right now, I'm working on making sure my socials get up now, because I just don't care about it. I didn't care about it, but my manager said that you need to maybe do something with your Instagram. So for the time being, I'm just gonna put up little video clips of me
Okay.
making tracks in the studio or just out and about. So I'm really focusing on that now, but also making new music because I got some projects coming on a major house label in London
Okay.
with a vocalist that is a Polish girl, but she grew up in Chicago. She
Mm.
was living here, we met here, but she moved back to Chicago. So we work this way where, I send her the music online. She goes to the studio in Chicago, records the vocals dry, send them back to me, and, I just
Oh,
chop it up
nice.
over here.
Nice.
And I got some stuff that's going to be coming on my label and a few other labels as well. So right now I'm just in the phase of making, the production stage, creating new music. Yeah, as I said, getting the socials up,
Mm.
only because the manager said I should. And other artists, I'm working with some other artists that are pretty major, like Plex, Kink, Mark Hawkins.
Mm.
Jay and I are going to do some things in the future. I did a remix for Chance for he had a um, he had a re-release of a track he did on Black Nation called Insane
Okay.
back in the days, and it was like a 25 tracker thing that came out about maybe half a year ago.
Wow.
So I did a remix for him for that. And other than that, these are pretty much the artists I'm going to be working with now. However, there has been some inquiries for from some other cats in other countries like Singapore and India and Africa. But my manager has to let me know more about that, like who's supposed to do the remix or what exactly is going to be the role, what we're going to do for the time being. So I keep busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just mainly just now. I'm just like I said, I'm being more visible because I realize the power of Instagram. For me personally, of course, I would rather not be on those socials. I'd rather just be in the studio making music, put things out. But unfortunately, if you're doing what we do, you need to have some sort of presence there.
Our artists, unfortunately, that's something else that's changed in the game. As artists, we now have to put on the marketing hat, as it is, or the promotional hat. And I think there's a purity as far as what we do musically that's been lost because people want to see everything behind the scenes now, right? They want to know. That's how people connect now with artists. They want to see how you make your toast in the morning. They want to see how you how you start your car.
Yeah. I told myself, I said, I'll find my little niche, and my little niche is just 20 second clips of something, and that's it. I don't have to talk to nobody. I don't have to answer no questions. It's just you can see a little bit of me doing some music. I mean, even now, I don't keep my followers. I don't accept everybody. I keep it. I'm still under 1,000, I think, for my newly Instagram one, because I had a personal one where I was just putting up whatever. Yeah. Then I decided to do the D Knox Sonic Mind one, and that is where I said I'm not going to try to have 20, 50,000 followers and all that because it just starts getting messy. I just need to have the right people there, because I want the right people to see what I'm doing, and then that goes to where it needs to go. People that I know are really going to be there and really appreciate the music, and not just like you said, oh look at me, I'm putting my Pop-Tarts in the toaster, and I'm gonna put
that's what people want to
see. Popularity contest,
that's what people want to see, unfortunately, man. You know what I mean? I've noticed that. And I'm not that kind of person. I'm a private person myself, Yeah. So I understand what you mean by that. So you said you got new music popping off here soon. Anything you want to say to a young artist here on our way out, as far as artists who may be in the house niche or techno niche? What do you think the future holds for the music as far as that goes? Like, where do you see it going right now? Because you said it's kind of changing.
I think the music is always going to be there no matter what. Like you can't. It's like something you can't kill.
Right.
It's always going to be this resistance of the underground to do something. COVID, unfortunately, is we don't know where that's going, and with people doing stuff prematurely, like going back to the clubs already, taking the mask off and doing things, which I think they should still wait a little bit.
Yeah.
We could be back down to lockdown again. But the good thing with music is people still buy online.
Yeah.
You know, people still just, you know, I can't imagine. Just imagine a world there's no music, there's no sound.
Yeah.
You can't. So that from that standpoint, you know,
Yeah.
there's always going to be music.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right now, if I was a young artist and I would really want to do it, I would just, first of all, I would just do it because you got to do it,
Yeah.
and have a love or passion for it. Listen to people,
Yeah.
but listen to yourself mostly because you naturally you know what to do. Your higher self is going to guide you
Right.
and tell you what to do. You just have to listen. And I was, you know, tell people do the. I'm not going to tell you to meditate and all that, but take time every day to just be quiet, and sit still, and just put your phone down. Like just get off the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Best if you can go outside, sit by a tree or something.
Mm-hmm.
These are the moments when ideas are going to come and you know things enter you and you know kind of what you need to do.
Yeah.
But like I said, if someone's giving you advice, always listen to it.
Yeah.
Just say thank you for the advice. I appreciate that, and just do what you want to do anyway.
Yeah.
You know, never argue with somebody that's actually trying to. Because whether you gonna use it, kind of be like Bruce Lee, how he did with G Con. You know, G Con do. I just take what I need and
Yeah.
use it for the style, and I don't have to argue with nobody and not listen. Because you'll have people like, well, they're not telling me this way or that way, so I don't need that. You know, I don't feel I should listen. And the last thing I would say is make sure your diet is good. And then by diet, I mean not just food, but what you're listening to, what you're watching, who you're around, you know,
That's deep.
clothes you're wearing.
That's deep. That's
Yeah, stuff
deep.
you know, even on the internet,
Yeah.
what you paying is so many negative subliminals there everywhere. Just
Yeah.
make sure your diet is good. You know, stay away from that pork.
Stay away from the swine. Yes.
Yeah, stay away from that. Stay away from that. You can't kill the worms, and no matter how hot you cook it, you know. I'm not, you know, I'm not Muslim, but there's a great book called "How to Eat to Live"
Live.
by Elijah Muhammad.
Yes.
Read that, and you'll eat once a day,
Yes.
save your money, and you know you'll be able to think clearly because
Bro,
there's some wolves out there. There's wolves and demons
Yeah.
in this music business, and it can come from the person that you would never expect.
Yeah.
So the music people swallows up weak people.
Mhm.
You know, if you ain't strong, you're done. And that don't mean like just saying physically, but mindset. You know, they'll get you. So
Man, the energy.
young, yeah, just
Mhm. You know, people don't think about that holistic approach as far as the energy. I'm a big energetic person, energy person as well. Like I believe in people's energies. Before you even meet somebody, there's a certain energy that
mhm.
you know comes across, man. And so I think that's major. I appreciate that advice because that's one of
There you
those.
go. Get yourself one of these for the studio. It's probably too. Can you see it?
It's oh yeah, I see it now. The way you tilted it, I see it now. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, get that. Put that around your music stuff. Flower life symbol, and all of a sudden your room will be a big energy. You know, big energy room. Put that. Just hang it up somewhere in your house on the wall, guys, and yeah, you'll be full of energy. Trust me.
That's dope. I'm gonna do that, man. In my studio, I got kind of revamping my thing right now, but yeah, man.
Flower life, yeah, get it, but make sure it's white. Make sure it's white background on and gold. Make sure the flower life is gold.
Yeah,
that'll make it the strongest.
Okay.
Just put it somewhere in a room, man. You'll see when you start making music, you'll be like, you know, you can also get some stones too, some crystals.
Yeah.
Some of the purple ones, the amethyst ones.
Yeah.
Those are I know when I stopped smoking, and I started collecting those, that gave me the same results as far as creativity. Yeah. And I think actually the smoking part was I think that was a false creativity actually. When I'm thinking about, I think it was a crutch.
Oh man, I'm glad you brought that out. It is a crutch a lot of times.
Yeah, just thought I needed it back then. Just doing what everybody else was doing. Oh, I gotta do that and make the tracks because it's taking me out of my mind. But actually, yeah, you have some crystals, some stones, and plants around. That's enough.
Such valuable. That's value, man. I love that you came on here and added value, man, because that's a crutch for a lot of people. And I knew when I stopped smoking and I stopped filling my bodies with contaminants, as far as your diet too, my mindset, there was a point in time where I felt like I never bought into that. Oh, I need to smoke to create. I never bought into that. But when I stopped, I noticed there was a difference. There was a difference of clarity. And then, but because I had been working so much under the influence, it took a while for me to back in. And I think now, looking back at it, it probably was holding me back in some areas. Probably
It
holding me back.
was. It was because of your thoughts around. Like right now, if I were to do it, I would have a clear thought of, okay, the universe knows what's good for me now, so
Yeah.
it's okay for me to do it. It's
Yeah.
not going to harm me because I'm doing it because I want to do it.
Right.
But I started really questioning myself. Wait a minute, you so without this you can't make music?
Right.
So I really had to, I had to face myself. It was my own self. Like, can you actually sit up here and do something with all these without having all these things?
Yeah. Yeah.
And once I got over that hurdle, it's like, okay, I can. Like you said, it took a moment because I
Yeah.
felt the urge, like, okay, you know what, man, I need my stuff, But
Yeah. It
at that
worked.
point, nah, it was like now I just have a glass of water,
Mm-hmm.
and I can actually. The good thing about it is, like you said, using your mind first.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can literally sit down and visualize this stuff for at least 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and they come in here and do exactly that. Because I started realizing just use your mind more. Like, you want to make a hot song,
Mm-hmm.
sit down for 10 minutes daily,
Mm-hmm.
see yourself sitting down there making that hot song.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, you're making that hot song. You don't even look because the mind doesn't know the difference between
Right.
what's
Right.
real or not. So that was the whole thing with my journey with this stuff, man.
Yeah.
It got to that point where, now it's just mindfulness all the time and peace and,
You
no
feel
no
like
negativity.
do you feel like your gang you feel like your music is your musical approach has probably upped itself when moving there? You feel like it's a different vibe there in Poland, right? There's a different
I,
vibe. Like when you
I think. Oh, sorry, man. Let me cut you off.
no,
It's
I'm
a
just
little
saying
delay.
creative wise, do you feel like your vibe is better over there, like when you're doing music now or
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like if I were to set up a studio in Kalamazoo, but
yeah,
not live there,
yeah.
I have a feeling that it would just. It's hard to say, but I just have a feeling it would be just way more funkier and just
Oh,
so just
okay.
because of the energy is there. Here,
Yeah.
I have to dig deep in myself to get that in because like I'm not thinking that okay, I'm in Warsaw, I'm in Poland from that point, and I don't really like to like I will go visit people in the studio because there's a lot of cool cats over here
Yeah.
that's making techno and making hip hop and everything, and I'll go over and hang out with them
Yeah.
and I watch how they work, but I do notice a difference of where I have to invoke this Kalamazoo energy and it's still in me. So for my standpoint, it don't matter where I'm living. I can live over here, but it still would be a bit stronger if I was there where it's naturally at. If you know what I mean, where the energy center is.
Gotcha.
But here I can still do stuff. I can still, do stuff. I would say I got technically better over here because a lot of these guys here, they got good ears for engineering, which I did, back then we didn't know. We
Yeah.
didn't know about no mixing and no mastering. We just making stuff, recording it to a Radio Shack tape or Kmart 3-pack tape, and
Putting it up.
listening to it. Oh, it sounds good, but being around these Polish guys, what I did a couple of times, I just took some music, knowing I wasn't gonna put it out, and I just got with a couple of guys that knew that were good at engineering. I was like, I want to pay you for a session,
Right.
and I want you to engineer, like fix my song, but I want to be there and watch what you do.
Right.
Okay, no problem. So one, they charged me maybe $20-$25 to sit in a session with them. And I was seeing how they were using Ableton Live, which I use, and the mixing board, how they, I get with it. Now I get it. It's about space.
Right.
Everything needs to be in its proper place when you make the music. You can't just do what you used to do. So from that aspect, I think I had to come here to get that technical training and put it with the raw funkiness.
Yeah.
And then it's good. But now I got a little small studio here set up. So I made it as close to how it would be in Kalamazoo for me. Some posters on the wall just to make it like if I was back there.
Yeah.
and just try to invoke that natural energy myself. But yeah, man, no, I got a feeling if one of us were to get some kind of loft building downtown Kalamazoo
Mhm.
and make it into, let's say the front end is the secretary and then a lounge area and the back end is the studio, where everybody from Kalamazoo, whether they left Kalamazoo or not, was coming into that building and making music, whether it's house, hip hop, techno, or whatever, pop,
Yeah.
all in that one place. That would just be like, too strong. World
Motown
couldn't even
2.0. Motown.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always had a dream to do that. I wanted to do that. And, there was a point where I was looking at some lofts downtown before I left to Europe,
Yeah.
but I just happened to end up over here, which probably, maybe saved my life coming over here. I changed my eating habits, got more spiritual, really got to see what my own country is really like through the lens over here.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot, like even about, our history as African Americans being over here. So, but Poland has helped me become a better person.
Yeah.
Like get to my higher, a better version of myself, I would say.
Yeah. Man, that's extremely dope. I think that's a great note to end the show off on as well, because sometimes it does take us moving away to be able to, okay, let's go back and kind of reflect. Like you said, now you can reflect on being there. You can reflect on home, United States, and you probably look at it from a different lens. You probably look at life from a different lens now,
Oh
because
yeah. Yeah.
And some of that's maturity, some of that is research, and some of that is just seeing how other people live and maybe how they view us, and it's really introspection, and that's really what we need as a people. Everybody needs to be introspective, and I think they'll appreciate this, appreciate what they have a little bit more. But we really try to I like I said, I like building with brothers like yourself, man, because I kind of view that as well. I mean, even though I'm here, my mind is not necessarily here. You can trap the body, but you can't trap the mind, so to speak. So,
nope. Can't.
That's a beautiful thing, man. So, man, I again appreciate you taking out time to come on the show,
no problem, brother.
share your history with us, man. And as amazing as it is, and knowing that you're still at it, still doing your thing, and like you said, you're in a better space mentally and all around, man. And like I said, I feel like what you've done and your achievements, man, really deserve to be highlighted. So I'm glad you were able to come on, man.
Thanks, man. Much love, dog. I appreciate you bringing me on here.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to talk to
Yeah, man, no
brothers
doubt.
from the past, man. Sometimes we just don't, but you made this situation possible with having the podcast.
Yeah,
so that's a blessing. It's just I guess we ain't never really lost touch. We just we wander, but we still end up back together.
That's right. So what I wanted to use with this platform for, just in general, was to just highlight and bring forth that brothers like yourself, who I feel like have not only made a difference in musically, but brothers that I know that I respect, and also they can actually expand on some of the lessons that I want to be able to bring forth on this channel. Like I said, talk about the music, but also bring it around to the business, because the business is really, if you can probably attest to this, it's probably the music business is business. Business comes before the music.
Yep.
So if you could bring value and help bring that full circle, then again, that's why it's such a pleasure to have you on, and other artists that I bring on, that's what I asked them to do as well. Like, bring forth, talk about the music, but also talk about this business, man, because it's how you make a living. That's how you stay in this business, and that's how you grow as an artist. And it's not all what it seems, So we're on this channel. We like to debunk a lot of myths, and clear up a lot of lies and untruths. So that's another reason I appreciate you coming through, man. And this has been the Business 2.0, y'all. This is the show that bridges the gap between the music and the business. We see y'all next time.
Hey, I'm Jay. Thanks for checking out that last video.
And also, we hope you're enjoying the site. To join the CTMG family, head over to charlesandtrumbull.com. Also, you can check us out at charlesandtrumbull.bandcamp.com. That's charlesandtrumbull.bandcamp.com. Over there, you'll find the latest info and updates on artists, bios, and also purchase the new drip. We appreciate you guys checking us out. We see you next time. Thanks.